And let's look at the second theme of the three that we're going to look at. So specifically here, we're looking at threat vectors, and the threat vectors that only your service provider can detect. And I think that's important as well to look at, so when we're looking at, how safe are our devices, obviously there's certain visibility the client has, and there's certain visibility, like you say, that the provider will have as well. So again, a couple of questions that we want to ask here. And the first one, we'll reverse the order this time. So we'll go to Udi first and then to Paul. And I guess, gentlemen, maybe this is a common question that you come across, given, I guess, the ecosystem that we're in and the range of different stakeholders who are all touched into this area in different ways. But in your viewpoint, keen to understand, what is the unique position of the connectivity service provider in addressing, the customer, so the business customers' security challenges? Udi, I'll let you answer first.
So it's a good question. I would say that unlike other connectivity technologies, there's cellular IoT has a built-in paradox in it. On the one hand, the devices and the data belong to the business, to the customer. But on the other hand, the connectivity provider, the CSP, is the owner of the network infrastructure. And this paradox creates concerns and challenges for businesses. It's not just because the lack of expertise and knowledge they have in cellular network, but because they're inherently, it's very difficult for them, almost impossible for them to monitor the cellular network. And I'm just telling upfront, and it's very easy and very effective for their CSP partner to do it. And I'll explain. The problem we see is visibility, and I'll define it. And what I'm saying now, we've seen it across the board, different verticals, different customers, really everywhere. And think about, these are the devices in the field, different devices connecting over cellular connectivity, going to the connectivity provider, to the mobile core, and from there to the enterprise or the IoT service provider. Great, simple, straightforward. The problem is, and that we see the attackers not working via this line, but the attackers are actually going directly from via the telco to the devices and back. And so all this bad communication, most of the bad communication, doesn't even go to the enterprise. And so regardless how well the enterprise has asset management capabilities or threat prevention capabilities, they cannot protect what they don't see. Okay, we've mentioned payments. This is one of the most attacked sectors we've seen. There are roughly 500 million SIM-connected payment devices, such as connected car, point of sale, EV charging, sharing some, and we see high degrees of attacks there. One of the customers, we're talking about a large payment service provider in Europe. We've monitored their network. Over 5% of their point of sales and payment devices were compromised. This is 1 out of 20. And in a period of 2 months, we've seen over 10,000 cases where significant data chunks, personal identifying information was sent from this point of sale to unauthorized destination, malicious sites, Telegram, you name it. And so the problem is, on the one hand, the enterprise, the business cannot protect what they don't see, and the bad traffic doesn't go through them. But this also translates as a huge opportunity for the connectivity service providers, because they're already there. The data goes and flows through them. And so they're in a perfect position to monitor the network, to offer their customers visibility, cybersecurity, and ultimately also compliance. And the nice thing is the end customer doesn't need to do anything. Everything is already controlled and goes through the connectivity service provider.
Yeah, thanks, Udi. And that ties on very nicely, Paul, to get your viewpoints as a connectivity service provider.
Yeah, quite. Yeah, building on what Udi said, for me, it's about bringing things that are currently out of perimeter in a security sense, and those are cellular IoT devices. I can never bring them fully in perimeter to the enterprise, but what I can do is give them sight and touch on these things so it feels more like it's in perimeter. And that means that setting up automatic analysis and reaction instrumentation in our network that the customer has control over, that is integrated with the customer's SOC and their security practices, so that the IoT connected devices that are in perimeter for my network are much closer to being in perimeter for the enterprise customer. And there's an important thing here that Udi, I don't think quite touched on, is that bringing the visibility and actionability onto these devices helps the response to all security incidents. So when an enterprise is experiencing a security incident, one of their first ports of call is to establish the null hypothesis. What isn't it? And having security instrumentation of the sort Wireless Logic provides on your cellular estate allows you to rule out the source of the security incident being your IoT network, which gets you much closer to the root cause analysis in the first place. So yeah, it's for us, it's about opening up all of the stuff we know about what's happening on your IoT network, because we are your IoT network. That's what it's about.
Yeah, 100%. No, Paul, Udi, thanks for those responses. Okay, and now Daniel, let's bring yourself in here with a question from your perspective. And I guess the question we have, it's kind of a two-stacked question actually. So bear with me while I do it. So MasterCard is essentially monitoring financial transactions, right? So I guess the question is, how do you see the relevance of the IoT network security and monitoring approach to the payment industry? And are they different disciplines in your view?
So interesting question. Let me start by saying that MasterCard's promise to consumers, to businesses, to governments is to ensure the safety and security for all transactions that run across our network. So as part of this promise, every day, we authenticate devices and users. We assess fraud risk, transaction fraud risk, identity fraud risk. We monitor large scale fraud attacks. We look at and detect breaches. We identify compromised cards and compromised merchants, right? And so while monitoring new IoT devices and IoT-based payments is not really a different value proposition for MasterCard, sort of detecting the security vulnerabilities and fraud risks associated with cellular IoT devices requires additional data, requires additional insights, and analyzing both payment network data and cellular network data provides us that unique view. It's a little bit of a different approach with tools and techniques and data analytics, but the core of what we're doing in terms of monitoring activity doesn't change. It's just a different form factor that requires a different set of tools and techniques to look at and secure and assess and monitor. So hopefully that answers the question. Good two-part question.